What's up, guys? Welcome back to a Living Matt channel, where I talk to you about how I'm living my American dream. So today I want to talk to you about choosing the partner that's right for you. And as a basis for the conversation, I want to talk about the last season of Bachelorette. This isn't really a show that I normally watch or that I'm into, but one of my wife's friends recommended it, so we ended up watching the last season. And we actually got caught up in the mix of all the drama and emotion. It was actually pretty interesting. So I want to use that as a foundation for this conversation. If you haven't seen it, stop right now. There's going to be some spoilers. So if you don't want to know what happens, stop right now. Or if you haven't seen it, but you've never cared to see it, then continue watching. All right, so Michelle was the main character of the show, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's a reality TV show. They're supposed to date a bunch of people, or one female with a bunch of men, until she narrows it down and chooses one. So I want to talk to you about the 4 finalists and my opinion on how it all went down. Now, again, this is my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. I just want to talk to you about how I see things and how, based on my own experience, what I think is the right and wrong answer here. So there were 4 finalists. The first one I want to talk to you about is Nayte. Nayte was a very good-looking guy, very tall. Michelle was a basketball player, runner-up for Miss Basketball in Minnesota, so she's very tall. Nayte was even taller than that. I think it was like 6'6". Good-looking guy, had the earrings, gave me kind of this Rico Suave kind of vibe, like, you know, very smooth, knew how to talk, knew how to say the right things, knew how to connect with the ladies. And I'm saying ladies, but really there was just Michelle, but it seemed like he knew how to connect with her. The problem that I had with Nayte is that he didn't seem like he knew how to express his emotions. He didn't know how to be vulnerable. Now, I say that, but I am still trying to figure this out. I'm learning vulnerability myself, so I'm not perfect at it, but I recognize it, and it's something I've been working on for a couple of years now. Nayte just seemed like he was just now starting to understand. In the middle of the show, as he's trying to win this woman over and make her fall in love with him, he was just now starting to figure this out. He didn't know how to talk to his own family. Seemed like they didn't, even within his own family, they didn't know how to talk to each other. There was an episode where him and his dad were saying, "I love you" to each other for the first time. And so things like that, to me, are red flags. If you want to be in a long, committed relationship, and Michelle is saying that vulnerability is a big deal to her, well, then you should know how to be vulnerable. You should know how to express your emotions. And it just didn't quite seem like he was there to me. Brandon is the next one. He was the youngest of the 4 finalists. Very nice guy, very good looking as well. Sometimes his age showed a little bit, and so came off a little bit immature, but just a little bit. I'm not saying he was immature, just some things that, you know, he did and said definitely, you know, to me, being in my 40s, was like, okay, I can tell he's a little bit younger. But he was more comfortable with vulnerability. He knew how to share or open up and show his emotions a little bit better than Nayte. So I really like that. He seemed to have a good relationship with his family, which I think is important because it reflects your upbringing and what kind of person you are. It's not the end-all be-all, obviously. Some people will have bad relationships with their family and are still good people who know how to relate to others. But the fact that he had a good relationship with them and seemed to be able to talk to him and open up was definitely something that I liked about him. The next one, the 3rd finalist, was Joe. Joe was from the same hometown as Michelle, Minnesota. He was the actual Mr. Basketball the same year that Michelle was runner-up. So they were both phenomenal basketball players, something they really share in common. Also very tall like Michelle. Another good-looking guy. They were all good-looking guys. But similar to Nayte, he seemed like he also didn't know how to express his emotions too well. He also seemed a little bit closed off. Very reserved. Not really, didn't seem like a risk taker. Just kind of, you know, very conservative, just kind of going through the motions. Afraid to kind of step out of his comfort zone a little bit. And so that, you know, for me was a little bit of a, maybe not the right fit for Michelle, because she definitely seemed like a more outgoing, more open to try new things, you know, exciting kind of person. So it's not that, you know, being like Joe is a bad thing, but when I'm looking at the 2 personalities, it seemed like, okay, well, she might be into some things that maybe he's not, and that might cause some conflict. And of course, like I said, the vulnerability piece, from day one, she was saying, I want somebody who's vulnerable, who can share and express their emotions, and just didn't quite seem there. The last finalist was Rodney. So out of the four, Rodney was a good-looking guy, but out of the four, I would say he's probably the least good-looking. Now again, this is an objective view. You might think he's the best-looking, but me personally, I thought he was the least good-looking. He did mention in one of the episodes how he always felt like the underdog. And maybe that's because he saw himself as not as good looking as others, or he wasn't as tall as the others for sure. He was a lot shorter. So maybe there were some things about him that throughout life have made him feel like the underdog. However, I will tell you, maybe it's because I like to root for the underdog and I like the underdog story. But for me, he was definitely the clear choice out of the four. He seemed very mature, very responsible. He seemed like somebody that would be very loyal to Michelle. He was definitely in touch with his feelings. He knew how to express his emotions to Michelle, was very clear when he started falling in love with her and, expressing all that to her. Seemed to have a good relationship with his family, which again, like I said earlier, it's like a green flag to me. If red is bad, green is good. He seemed to have a good relationship with them. They knew how to express each other very well. He's had the support of his family. So a lot of things that were going for him. But just, didn't have maybe the same smoothness that somebody like Nayte had. So I will tell you, Nayte, in my opinion, from very early on, seemed like he was going to be the one that got chosen by Michelle. They seemed to have a strong connection. She was drawn to him a lot. I believe he got the first rose, what do they call it? The first impression rose, which from speaking to my wife's friend is a big deal. A lot of times those end up being the one that get chosen. But as I kept looking at Rodney or seeing Rodney more and more on the show, I kept wishing, like, Michelle, please choose Rodney, please choose Rodney. Because the way that I saw it is, if you want the bad boy, if you want the guy that's cool, that's smooth, yeah, you go with Nayte. He might be the exciting choice, right? But if you want somebody who's going to be loyal, who's going to be stable, who's going to give you stability, who's going to give you consistency, you go with Rodney. Now, here's the thing. Some people might say Rodney was the safe choice, right? And when you say it that way, it sounds boring. Like, who wants to pick somebody as their lifelong partner because they're the safe choice? That doesn't sound exciting. We want somebody who excites us, somebody who gives us the butterfly in our stomach, right? Somebody who, every time we see them, we're just so happy, so filled with joy that, oh my God, my significant other is here, my wife, my husband, my girlfriend, whatever. So when we think of safe choice, all those feelings, all those emotions don't really come to mind. But here's the thing, man. TV, even when it's reality TV or sold as reality TV, it's not real life. It's not real life at all. So what is real life? If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I was married before. I'm a divorcee. I was married for almost 13 years. And now, I guess what that has shown me, or what that has taught me, is that in real life, marriage is not going to be this exciting thing every single day. You're not going out climbing mountains and skydiving, scuba diving and traveling and doing all these wonderful things every single day. Real life, for most of us, some of you might be wealthy and retired early at 30 and you're living your lives, these big adventurous lives every day. And if you are, more power to you. I'm really happy for you. But for most of us, me included, that's not reality. That's not everyday life. For most of us, we wake up, we go to work, we do our job, we come home maybe late at night, we're tired, we have dinner, we have some conversations with our spouse, maybe play with the children a little bit, we go to sleep, we wake up, rinse and repeat. 4, 5, 6 days a week. Every now and again, we'll go on a vacation, maybe a weekend vacation, maybe an extended vacation somewhere, and we'll have those exciting things here and there, right? But it's not like we're doing it all the time. So if you want somebody who's going to be with you, who's going to help you get through those moments that are not as exciting, right? The dull moments of everyday life, I feel like the safe choice is the one to go with. That's that person that you're going to be able to sit with on the couch and hold them while you're watching some Netflix, go to the movies and just, movies may not be the most exciting thing in the world, but we enjoy it. Going for a walk around the neighborhood. All these little things that don't sound exciting, that don't sound super fun or thrilling. Those people that give you that stability, that are comfortable with everyday life, with the normalness of everyday life, those are the people that are going to stick by you. Those are the people that are going to give you strength when you don't have the strength to wake up and go to work, or to Deal with your children because they're frustrating you. Those are the people that are going to be your strength and your rock every single day. Well, maybe not every day. Life's not perfect. There's going to be times where your partner is not going to be able to support you, or you're both going to be in a bad mood. But I digress. So maybe not every day, but you want somebody who is going to give you some stability. Especially if you're somebody like Michelle and you're saying, I want vulnerability. How can you say you want vulnerability and you choose one of the guys that is least vulnerable, that is least comfortable opening up and expressing their emotions? That makes no sense to me. So here's what I'm going to tell you. And again, my opinion, take it for what it is. If you disagree with anything I say, drop a comment in the comment section. I sincerely want to hear what you say, because I'm not really into this show, but after it was over, I read a lot of the comments because I wanted to know, do people agree with me? And a lot of the comments that I read online, people were so happy that Michelle and Nayte ended up together because they had this chemistry and all this stuff. But that's TV. That's even though they say it's reality TV, it's TV. It's not real life. Sure, they might have all this excitement now, but I'm curious to see how they're going to be a year or two from now. Now, don't get me wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that they spend the rest of their lives together. And if they want to have babies, they have a bunch of babies. Whatever they want to do, I hope it all works out for them. But I know that more than likely, based on history of the own show and based on just life, that's not going to happen. So I hope I'm wrong, but what I see is if you're in that situation, you need to, first of all, know what your standards are and stick to your standards. Don't get caught off or caught up in the glamour of, oh, this person is so exciting. Oh, I feel butterflies in my stomach every time I see them. Those are all temporary things. That's adrenaline and hormones and all these things that are making you feel this way. You need to think about the long term. And in the long term, you need those things. You need connection. You need excitement. You need chemistry. Yes, those things matter. You need attraction. Those things matter. But it's not the end all be all. You also need somebody who's going to be able to talk to you, somebody who's going to be comfortable holding you when you're sad, when you need to cry, somebody who's just going to be content in the boringness of everyday life. You need somebody who's just going to be there regardless of what happens. And if that person is having a hard time just being themselves, being comfortable in their own skin, like Nayte sometimes seemed, because he didn't know how to express himself and he didn't know how to give love or feel love. I believe he even said he had never actually been in love or said, I love you to somebody. Again, how can you end the show saying, I want to propose to you? She says yes, when you don't even know what it's like to love somebody, when you don't know what it's like to get your heart broken. And again, these aren't the end all be all. It's not like if you've never had your heart broken or you've never been in love, you can't be in a relationship. Nothing is so certain that I can say something as a generality and it applies to everybody. No, these are generalities. They might apply to a lot of people, but they don't apply to everybody. But so I'm going to leave you with that. Because otherwise I'm just going to keep going and I have a lot of thoughts on this. But choosing the right partner is important, guys. You need to know what you want. You need to stick to your desires. You need to make sure if you say this is what I want, this is what I go for. Don't go for something else that's glittery and glamorous. Choose wisely or you'll end up with the wrong person. You'll end up divorced. You'll end up heartbroken and all that other stuff. Nobody wants any of that. Don't look at TV for examples of how to choose the right partner, because TV a lot of times will sell us some fake stuff. That's what Hollywood does. They sell us all these stories of what love's supposed to be, and it's all BS. It doesn't work. So ignore all that. Do you. Enjoy the TV, but do you, and you'll be all right. You might struggle here and there, but you'll be all right. All right, guys. Hopefully you got something out of this. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe so you know when I upload the next one. See you in the next video. Deuces.